What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Skinny Moose.
And your boy Fat Squirrel.
I got on the legend deranged, who is now back. And I've honestly been waiting for a while, so let's kick it off. What made you want to become a wrestler?
Um, I've always had a dramatic flair for the or a flair for the dramatic side. There we go. And I don't know, I've always liked wrestling and I always loved wrestling growing up, and I I don't know, I think it just kind of found me. I just got out of high school and I was working at a factory in Ohio, and not my supervisor, but one of my directly closely related supervisors, somebody she knew went on. Now this is way back in the 90s, but WCW used to run what was called a bruise cruise, and it was a cruise where you could go and meet wrestlers. Well, he went and met some other wrestlers from the area, and there just happened to be a school that literally was only probably about 15 miles away from where I lived. So they
Excuse me.
I can't remember exactly what happened. I think I went to a show and met them, and then ended up training. And I actually the show I went to, I seen some of the guys, and then they invited me to come in for a tryout. So I went in for the tryout, and I'm in the middle of this, start out by running the ropes and bumping, jumping up, just shit like that. Just doing simple shit if you can handle the in and outs of, everyday wrestling life. And I remember I just started running the ropes and really just started getting a head of steam behind me and stuff. And all of a sudden the back door opened and in came Toby. And Toby always likes to make an entrance when he shows up. So I can't remember exactly what happened, but he pretty much announced his presence, and I had stopped running the ropes. Well, he jumped into the ring and started running the ropes himself, and did a couple bumps, jumped up and started running them the opposite way, and then stood up and looked around. He goes, "All right, he wants to smoke a joint." And I said, "I do." And we were pretty instant friends from there on out.
I love Toby Klein. How was it being trained by Toby Klein?
An adventure. So I originally started out with a small school in Ohio called ASWA. And I'd say just within 6 months into training, they went on a very long hiatus. And Toby was just starting to pick up. So with what training I did have and his bookings and stuff, he was being booked almost every week, or not almost every week, but multiple times every week. So he had it worked out with the promoters that we'd show up early and he'd get in the ring with me for, half an hour to an hour, and we'd go over some stuff, and it would just be, one-on-one time and stuff with him. So, but it was always, those last 6 months or whatever, we were always on the road, and anybody that has ever traveled with Toby knows that traveling is an adventure with him. No two car rides are ever the same, and you always get there. You always get there.
What happened to your foot at IWA Deep South Carnage Cup 2007 when you fought Freak Show?
So I went to do a big leg drop off the off the side of the ring. Yeah, the ring apron. And I didn't get my leg all the way up. So when I landed, it was kind of underneath me, and my foot hurt at the same time. And when I went to the hospital, you can still kind of see it in places, but they said that I had compartmentalism, something like that, where the blood flow stays in one area, but it basically swells from the inside out and cuts off blood flow and circulation from the inside out.
Oh God!
Yeah, I was reviewing Carnage Cup 2007 because a lot of us like Carnage Cup, and the question aroused what happened to Deranged's foot. I'm like, I have no clue. I gotta ask him that though.
Yeah, I was in a boot for about 4 weeks afterwards, and I was in the hospital for, I don't know, 24 hours after that. They kept having to put a big needle in my leg and drain my leg with all the fluid and wetted blood and whatever else was in there trying to fuck me up.
Now, do you still have like surgery or have to get it drained or whatever these days?
No, I might have. I mean, maybe I should have. I don't know. I never really followed up on it. I know that it still retains fluid to some extent, not like it did, that night. But it doesn't really, I don't want to say bother me, because it does, at times, but on an everyday basis, it doesn't really bother me too much anymore.
So I seen that you was back. Can we ask why did you step away, like retire or whatever?
Why did I step away, or why did I return?
Yeah, like why did you step away and retire?
I don't like to say that any wrestler ever really retires, but that's neither here nor there. I wrestled, but above being a wrestler, I am a father. And my son was born in 2009, and my daughter was born in 2012, and I got a divorce in 2015. And so the last 10 years, I have been a single father. I have custody of both my kids, and their well-being is much more important than mine. So one, I have kept a job for the last 15 years, but unfortunately I worked the weekend shift. So I worked every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I worked 12-hour days on those days. So anybody that knows anything about wrestling, when is 90% of wrestling shows
Weekends.
So now I'm at a point where I, both in wrestling and my shoot job, that I have, seniority, and I have tenure, so I have a little more leniency than I did 10, 15 years ago, and well, it's time.
Let's fucking go. Hey, I respect that. I'm a podcaster, but before anything, I'm a father. So I have a little girl and a little boy myself. So before I'm anything, I'm a dad. So I can't respect your answer more than what you just said.
I could give you this scenario. I could give you the scenario and all the details and all that bullshit, but what it basically just boils down to is that I had to handle business, and now my kids are older, and now it's time to come back and handle some more business.
Fuck yeah, I respect that. I respect that. Kid first, yes, sir. So, will you speak on the Russian leg sweep Corporal Robertson gave you through the barbwire and CZW Extreme 8? It laid you out there for a minute. It was June 2008 or June 28th, 2003.
Really? Was it 28th?
June the 28th, 2003. Yes, sir.
Huh. That's weird. My daughter would have been born like 10 years later.
That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, I'm sorry. What was the question?
Will you speak on the Russian leg sweep Corporal Robertson gave you through the barbed wire table in CZW Extreme 8? It laid you out there for like 2 to 3 minutes. It just laid you out there when you was up, you just pouring leaking blood.
Well, that was still pretty early on in my career, especially with doing hardcore and death match types. So anybody that's watched 2001 King of the Death matches saw that I puked in the middle of that match. So, I don't know if I ever really got that out of my system, to be completely honest with you. So it was more of just maybe taking a break so I didn't puke again.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Maybe it was just more for a rest spot, a rest period. Some of this stuff you're going to have to give me a little bit of pardon on, because this is like 20 some years ago and I have a hard time remembering 20 hours ago.
I understand that.
My wife was like, best. I apologize.
Oh, you're fine. I was watching a match the other night with you puking, and my wife's like, why? I was like, honey, he's new back then. He was new. And with half the shit that these men go through, they will puke either on camera or off camera. As they get used to it, though, they start, get used to it, malfunctioning or whatever. Because some other wrestlers that I know has puked, and I'm like, don't feel bad. You're not used to it. You're just getting to learn the weapons and the ropes and shit. And so much pain is scientifically proven you're going to get sick anyways or pass out. So
I don't know. I'm sure it's some sort of medical thing, but to be honest with you, I've mentioned it to my doctors before, and they're never there, and it's hard to recreate, that kind of situation when you're not in the ring. So yeah. I can't really tell you an answer as far as like what's going on with it or why it happens. To me, I just overheat, and it feels like I have to puke and get it out of my system, rest about 30 seconds, and hey, okay, I'm ready to go again. It's like
So, how was your match with Spider Boodrow? I mean, it was more or less you took the whole match, but that was fucking crazy.
Well, back then, there was a bit of it was the end of the territories, but yet it was still death match, still very much territory. It was still very much territory based. I mean, you had CCW out on the East Coast. You had IWA that was in Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky area. And then, yeah, the guys down south that were trying to make a name for themselves. But I was trying to make a name for myself too. And I felt one thing happened, and I don't know. I was watching that match with a buddy of mine just a few months ago, and I had to go back and kind of look at it from a different perspective than it was 20 years ago. And I don't know. Maybe if I hadn't been so rough with him back in the beginning of the match, he wouldn't have been so out of it towards the middle of the match, and it wouldn't have pissed me off. And what I took for him as being unwilling to take something maybe was just me knocking the hell out of him in the beginning of the match, and he wasn't prepared for what was going on later in the match.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people, and growing up on Deep South, and Kevin, I was a Spider fan, but a lot of people said that Spider wouldn't listen, or Spider didn't do a move right, or whatever. I've never met Spider, but I grew up on Spider, so I'm one of those.
I did. I shouldn't say I didn't have a problem with him because I didn't really have a problem with him in general. It was more just trying to make a name for myself at his expense. And that doesn't make it any nicer or any easier or any more easier to comprehend, but it's the truth.
What would you say gave you a run for your money?
In my matches,
Yeah.
Corporal.
Corpse one.
Always, Steve and I always had great matches, but it was always, I'm telling you what, that, brain damage always gave me a run for my money, but Steve always did too. That dude, them lottery punches are no joke, and they call them lottery punches because not everyone hits you, but when one does hit you, holy fuck.
Is it over Necros?
I'm sorry.
Is it over Necro Butcher's Punch?
Oh no. Oh, are you talking about brain damage or Corp?
Necro versus Corp.
Oh no, Necro. By far. I mean, I'm telling you what, like Steve has a hard punch, but there's a reason why Dylan is the bar.
I've interviewed a lot of people and a lot of legends, and I'm like, I don't think I've met anybody that ever can compete with Dylan's punches.
Oh well, now there you go. Marvin, brain damage.
That
I love Dylan, but Marvin.
Okay, IWA Mid South. I'm pretty sure it was one of the King of the Death matches. You and Brain Damage was in it, and y'all sit down to bar fight. And if you've seen it, he hits Brain Damage. Looks like 3 or 4 stiff ass fucking times, and Brain Damage is just sitting there, and he's finally comes up and clobbers deranged, and I'm like, damn! Every time deranged would hit, it wouldn't do shit, but God. That man had some big hands, though.
Yeah. That match, he ended up hitting me. That shot, it was either the shot that he stood up on or the shot after he stood up on. Hit me so hard in my eye, it ended up swelling my eye shut. And we had to wrestle at IW East Coast 2 or 3 weeks later. And if you watch the Smart Mark, I don't know, it was kind of an outro, so I don't know if it was on the DVD, but I don't know if it would ever even be on IWTV. But they actually took a picture of my eye because it had just started unswelling to the point where you could see my eye again, and my eye was almost still completely full of blood.
Holy shit.
But then again, I've had Dylan hit me so hard that it had my fucking rings in my ears go flying out too. So there's that.
Damn.
Yeah. Neither one of those guys are any joke.
Fuck. If you could redo anything in your career, what would it be and why?
Probably redo that match at King of the Death matches with Brain Damage. When I did the flop off the ring apron onto him with some chairs.
Okay, I'm following you now.
It ended up hurting his back so bad that's why he did what he did. Constant pain.
Was the 5-way hardcore match in CZW planned, or did it just happen?
I think it was supposed to be a tag match, but something happened, and they ended up scrapping the tag match and then adding somebody else to it, so it ended up being a 5-way. Honestly, that's one of those things that was like 20 years ago, and I think you're right. It wasn't really supposed to be a 5-way, but that's what it ended up being by the time whoever showed up or didn't show up, however that all settled out or played out.
I was watching, and I'm not for sure who was working you over. It might have been court, but somebody was working you over, and then all of a sudden you hear Necro's music, the Freebird, and you look up and you're like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, by the looks of it, this was not planned to come out like this.
No, I think they were supposed to be in a different segment or whatever. But did you see that traffic cone he was fucking throwing around?
God damn, dude, he was fucking beating people with that.
Have you ever been hit by a traffic cone like that?
Not by a grown up, but I have by my boy, and
Well, I guarantee your boy ain't gonna hit you like the Necro Butcher does.
oh no. I guarantee God. That one hit when he puts it on fuck. I can't remember. I know it was a T.O. Somebody's head punches the fuck out of it. I feel bad for whoever's skull. I wouldn't want to be rocked by Necro. I'll just put it like that.
Yeah. I didn't really want to either, but hey, shit happens.
More man, I mean, you will step in that motherfucking ring with Necro. Be my guest. I seen him fucking like. We're going to Carnage Cup this year, so it'll be our first time meeting Necro Butcher. And one of my buddies is like, "Well, just prepare to see a big ass hand." I'm like, he's like, no. He's like, imagine the size of a turkey leg, and that's Necro's hand. And I'm like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like, my hands ain't that big. I mostly got long fingers, but like, god damn, I can imagine getting hit by him.
Legit huge.
Will you speak on the nonstop beating? It was you, Corporal Robertson, and Toby Klein took from Bullpain, Mitch Page, and Cash Flow. Glory days to IWA Mid-South.
Oh, brother, I don't know if I could. Honestly, that's one I don't really remember too well at all.
And they just basically, it wasn't even a match. Like, it come out, and Court already had to face in, and then he got put in a Yaz match. And then the nonstop beatdown. God, it wasn't even a match. It wasn't something that I was really interested in because, like, it was just getting squashed. What's your worst injury or a major one?
In 2002, Toby and I were wrestling in Detroit for Insane Wrestling Federation, and I can't even really remember who we were wrestling, but I ended up taking some move, and the guy landed right on my arm, and I broke my arm in the middle of the match. And we still got up and wrestled probably another 5 to 10 minutes before I tapped out. I don't know if Toby ended up finishing the match or not, but I was done. I had to get out of there. So they ended up loading me up and taking me to the hospital.
Fucking crazy.
That's crazy.
So, you've been in plenty of Bring the Weapons matches in your career. What's the most wicked one you've been in your opinion?
I want to say a couple of the ones down King of the Death matches, mid 2000s, but it was when we were in a parking lot of a bowling alley. They brought a lot of that night. That was one of the nights that Lane had the Hulk hands with the thumbtacks glued all over them. And there was a couple like ukuleles with thumbtacks and stuff glued on them. That was the night that had, I think, one of the walkers with the light tubes going across them and the barbed wire going around it?
Was that? No, that wasn't 2004, was it?
No, I was thinking for 2008.
8? Yeah, something like that.
7 or 8.
Yeah, something like that. But I know which one you're talking about. I mean, what was it? King of the Death Matches 2006? You was in a fucking Ben bring the weapon match, and you was just covered in weapons of the whole ring.
Oh, was that a first round match against Corp?
I think so. Yeah, you couldn't like move or do anything. Court, yeah, it was court because y'all couldn't move or do anything. Like the whole ring was just surrounded. I'm
Well,
like, yeah.
I'm telling you what, the only thing I remember from that match, because so at the time I was living in Florida and I was still working for Ian. So I would drive from Panama City Beach to Athens, Alabama, and then I would meet up with Lane, and Lane would drive from Alabama to usually Indiana is where we were wrestling at that time. But I had drove from Florida all the way to northern Alabama, so like 6 hours, and I had a convertible at the time. I just bought a convertible, so I had the top down on this bitch. Well, I'm telling you what, a fucking convertible with a bald fat dude that is pasty white is not a good fucking combination. So by the time I got to Lane's house on Friday or on Thursday night, dude, I was glowing fucking hotter than a light bulb. It was horrible. I mean, dude, I had so much sun that I was actually kind of delirious, like with how much sun I got and stuff. So then we went to Indiana the next day, and one of the weapons was a steel chair that had thumbtacks that were glued all over the seat. And Corp had taken the chair and wedged it in the corner and then whipped me off, and I went head first, which wasn't that bad. But then when I looked up, literally, there was so many thumbtacks, and I had got so much sun the day before that my skin was just like, it literally just melted. Like it just... It was just like one big sheet of skin that came off and stuck on that chair. It was horrible. Like I was so glad. Like I was supposed to wrestle on night 2. Ian always puts the people that don't win on night 1 into like different tag matches and feature matches on night 2 to still give them something to do. And I had to turn him down. I was so... like I was out of it. There was no way I could have wrestled on Saturday. It was, in fact, I think I ended up staying at Lane's house on Sunday too, and didn't even drive back to Florida until Monday because how bad I felt.
Oh shit, dude!
Wow.
That's crazy. What was going through your mind when they lit the firecrackers and Corey Sadix hit you in the head and then with the chair knocking you onto the ring, and you landed right in the firecrackers?
Honestly, that was a good spot. But looking back now, I think that the initial spot that Tank and Brain Damage did at 2006 King of the Death matches with the Blackjacks or the Black Cats firecrackers, that was so well performed that I don't think anything will ever top that first. You know what I mean? It's like your first shot of cocaine or whatever. You take that first one and nothing is ever going to live up to it ever again. It's kind of like how I feel about those. Like sometimes you get panes of glass or tubes or something that you can try to top. But I feel like the way those firecrackers went off that first time, it's just nothing will ever compare. And some of it was the way Brain Damage sold for him and flopping around like a cat on a hot tin roof. You know what I mean? But I really do. I think that was just one of the best spots.
That was fucking crazy. Who would you say are the top hardest hitters you have been in the ring with? I gotta say, Brain Damage, Necro Butcher, and Toby Klein.
Masada.
Oh, fuck. I don't know why I didn't mention Masada.
Those are by far the three hardest.
I thought you would say Toby though, but I've heard some stories about Masada. We've sat down and interviewed Masada. I've met Masada. Now he's got some fucking big ass hands, and he's laid back as fuck. And I've told him, I said, I don't want to meet you in a dark alley. He's like, why? And I'm like, you look like you're eating somebody, and he just laughed. And he was really cool to me every time I've talked to him, but pissing that man off, I don't know.
When I went to Japan, Brig was there. The first time I went to Japan, Brig was already there. And they took us over as a tag team, not him, but me and another guy as a tag team. And I remember one of the first matches. It wasn't our first match at Corrigan, but I want to say it was like our second match at Yokohama Red Brick. It was me and him versus Sada and Pondo. I think it was Pondo. And Pondo wanted to work with me, so we kind of, paired off and stuff. And Pondo and I went up on the stage, and we're doing our thing and stuff. And Brig was off with my partner, and I don't remember exactly what happened into the match, but Tim, my partner, ended up getting opened up so bad that they thought they were going to have to take him to the hospital. And that's not a good thing when you're not on a work visa in Japan. So there was a lot of implications that could have happened if we did end up taking him. But anyways, come to find out that him and Masada were not doing very well, and he pissed Brig off to the point that Brig came to me after the match and said, hey, I can't work with him no more. I got to start having you. So needless to say, they just kind of scrapped the whole tag idea instead of having me work with Masada so much.
No, that was Stan Hane that you went to Japan with, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm following you. Yeah. You two was more of a tag team in East Coast in general than anywhere else I noticed.
Well, we were it was BJW actually wanted Brain Damage. They wanted us to come over there, but Marvin refused to fly. It took us a lot to get him on the plane to Philly to go out to CCW. There was no way we could get him on a plane to go to Japan. That's a direct 10-hour flight. And it was hard. Like I said, it was hard to even get him on an hour-and-a-half flight to Philly. I don't. It was so bad, dude. Like, he wouldn't even get his passport because he didn't want to be on a plane that long.
Oh, shit. Was he scared of heights, or did he have, like, a phobia around planes in general? Or
I think it was just planes in general.
Yeah, I'm not scared of heights, but I'm not too big on the whole plane ordeal thing. But I want to go to Japan, but I was telling some of my fans I was fucking with them. I'm like, you'll never catch skinny moose in Australia. And one of my buddies was like, why is that? I was like, I got a fucking arachnophobia. I'm not going over there.
Those huntsman spiders.
My buddy, one of my buddies, when we used to hang out a lot, he's like, hey, you know what a huntsman spider is? I'm like, you said spider. I know what that is. He's like, no, these get as big as your plate. And he turns his phone around and shows it to me. I'm like, oh, I'm about to kill you right here, right now with this fucking sword in my hand. Because I was pointing my sword and he looked at me. I was like, nope, nope, nope. I cannot stand a spider. When I was about 7, 8 years old, I used to have one of those American County chopper bicycles. And I put it on the ground and I went inside. But when I come back out, there was a whole bunch of like baby tarantulas all over me, all over my bike and everything. And by the time I realized that, I slung my hands down and bro, that was just all over my fucking chest, everything.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of days later, this girl that I got with, I was, about like I said, about 7 or 8. I was talking to this girl. She was more like my friend and my girlfriend or whatever, but she was telling me a story about how she got mad at her grandmother, went in the house and slammed the door, and a bunch of spiders came down on her arm.
Ew.
And I'm like, ever since then, I see a spider, I will black the fuck out. The other night, I seen one, and I had to get my wife to kill it. And she's like, it's just a spider. And I'm like, okay. All right, let's pick on you about bugs, or let's pick on you about something you're scared of. And I told my mom, and she started laughing. My mom thought that was the funniest thing ever. I was like, okay, let's see how you sit and watch Terrifier 4 with me. No, 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 I'm terrified of clowns. I'm like, well, you know how I am about spiders. I cannot stand spiders. One of my friends, best friends, she works at PetSmart, and she works with spiders and shit. And I'm like, well, there goes me working at PetSmart. She's like, why? I'm like, well, I like the animals, but I ain't going nowhere near that spider cage because I will grab that gun on my side and I will shoot that poor old spider. No. I'm like, I can deal with snakes. I can deal with birds. I can deal with any type of animal, any type of reptiles, just about anything. But a spider, I cannot deal with a spider.
You and your spider.
I can't even. I got arachnophobia so bad I can't even watch the movies. I watch the movies and like if I'm playing a video game, and I know that they're gonna be there, I have to get through it. That's understandable. But like as far as sitting there watching a movie like Eight-Legged Freaks or sitting there watching them on Discovery Channel, I have to change it or I'm going to fucking flip out.
Oh, that's not good.
I'm just that bad with them. Would you speak on being in cult fiction?
So, cult fiction was originally formed back in the early 2000s, and the concept was supposed to be the 4 horsemen of deathmatch wrestling. Brain Damage, Toby, Klein, and myself. And I'm sorry?
It was Brain Damage, Toby, you, and who?
Dylan, Necro.
Necro.
And Billy pitched this to us. And we agreed. Unfortunately, I feel like after a while, Billy Graham just started peddling cult fiction to any promotion that would allow him to be on their show. And what once was supposed to be the most elite deathmatch crew turned out to be just another NWO. And that's about the way I feel about that.
True. Yeah, sure.
Would you speak on the beating that you, Toby, and Tank gave Court, and then Tank joining Coke Fiction?
I feel like there is no more perfect segue from your last question into this next question, because that whole thing was just a way for Billy to get a Cult Fiction shirt on another person.
Aye, so Billy was more about making new members than respecting his roots.
Well, think about it. I mean, as soon as we showed up in Deep South, all of a sudden Freak Show was a member. And then, after a while in East Coast, I can't remember exactly what promotion he wanted to be in, but Tremont was a member. And then he wanted to go out to the East Coast, and all of a sudden JD Hoare and Sage Sin are members. And I don't know. That's not me.
Seemed like everybody was a part of Coke Fiction at one time.
You think?
Yeah, I was like, how did we go from a little small faction to one of the biggest deathmatch factions, known? And I think that's what made, aside of what the older generation, y'all were done, I think as the new day come on, the new generation come on, I think Billy made it as big as it is. Just I don't know. I think he was trying to make a big deathmatch code or some shit.
I think he was just trying to peddle the Cult Fiction name out to get his name elsewhere.
I respect that. I respect your answer, yes, sir. Do you have a favorite story you was a part of, and if so, would you mind speaking on it?
I tell you one that never really bloomed or blossomed. Maniac Matt Bourne had a promotion in it was Washington, PA, but not Mount Washington. But it was a little promotion they were trying to upstart named Asylum Championship Wrestling. And they had some really cool storylines they were trying to implement. And I don't know, that was just like one of the first times that, even though it never really came to fruition, that like a promotion kind of wanted to build a storyline around Toby and I, you know what I mean? And not just plug and play, I guess. And like I said, even though it never really came to fruition or whatever, just to kind of have that experience was pretty cool.
Heck yeah, that's cool.
Would you speak on when Nick Gage cut your forehead, face, and everywhere with the machete? CZW, A Decade of Destruction, the 10th anniversary, and then used the pizza cutter on your eye at CZW Total Havoc, and did it do serious damage either time?
No. No.
I think I misread my own question.
No, I think you're fine. That machete, I don't know. I thought it was going to be a really good gimmick, but that was the first time I ever carried it to the ring, and to have Nick turn around and use it against me, I just kind of dropped it after that. But he didn't. He went so fierce with it that I guess people really thought I was hurt from it.
That, and then turn right back around the next month later at Total Havoc when you got the pizza cutter across your face and close to your eye. That was some crazy shit. I actually thought that he took out your eye because it was all wrapped up, all that.
He gets wicked with that pizza cutter, I tell you what.
So now that you're back, is there anyone that you would like to call out for a match?
I don't want to make it sound like I'm calling anyone out, but there is definitely a few people I would like to have a match with just because they have the same kind of style that I do, and I think that strong style, heavy hitting has been lost in the last 10 or 15 years, and to see some of the younger generation still kind of hold on to that, it kind of makes me excited. And there are a few people that I would like to have matches with. Yeah.
Tommy Trainwreck on that list.
You know what? I didn't really watch a whole lot of Tommy Trainwreck until the last few months. And yes, I would definitely like to have a match with Tommy. Bear Bronson. I would definitely like to have a match with Bear Bronson. Hoodfoot, I would definitely like to have a match with Hoodfoot.
Okay. Oh shit.
There's a few others too, but let's see.
Please say Slack.
I'm sorry.
Slack.
I got something special for Slack.
Oh shit.
So what was it like winning East Coast Masters of Pain?
Something I never thought I would ever really achieve. To have, I think especially at that time when Masters of Pain and, you know, the original King of the Death match and Tournament Death were like the only real ones on the board. I think this was even before Carnage Cup. Carnage Cup might have been around for a little bit, but really even before the concept, before they were around, to have one of the bigger death match tournaments to represent one of them was just an honor.
Yeah, I'd say I seen that, and then when Moose told me he was going to interview him, I told him when the first time I ever seen it, I said if I ever get a chance to interview that man, I'm gonna ask him that question: what it was like winning that tournament.
It's almost you know, for me, it's better than winning like a world heavyweight title because I don't want to say they come and go, but you know, tournaments come and go, but that you have 1 year, one time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, I understand that.
And back then, that's how y'all would more or less show y'all are the shit or on top of the mountain or whatever, was by winning tournaments back in the early 2000s and late 90s and shit. And that's how y'all, I don't want to say got y'all's name, but you know, if you was to win a big tournament like that back in the day, then you're on top of the mountain. Everybody wants you. Am I right? When you and Nick Gage was wrestling in TOD, you held Gage while Billy Graham blew a fireball, was supposed to be into Nick Gage's face, but he accidentally blew it in your face. And he hit you, Gage hit you in the head with a flaming barbwire chair. Will you speak on that?
I still have scars from that match.
Oh shit!
Billy needs better aim with his fire breathing abilities. I think ended up burning the eyebrows off my head that day.
Oh, wow.
Him or if that was the flaming chair from Nick, though. But Nick threw me through the barbed wire so hard that I had two spots going across my back that the barbed wire cut me from one shoulder to the other. And then I had third-degree burns on top of that. because not only were they barbed wire, but they were glowing red barbed wire ropes too.
Was that the first time he threw you out and you fell on like the left side? Yeah, I think it was your left side, this side over here.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my god. Yeah, because like you broke the barbed wire and you're laying there laid out, of course. And like there's oh my god, I didn't think about that. Jesus fucking Christ.
Wow.
How did your cocaine gimmick come about, Kohane?
Kind of like what I was talking about earlier. BJW originally wanted a vulgar display of power in over in Japan, but because we couldn't get Marvin to fly, they still wanted a tag team. So Pondo pitched them an idea of me and another guy in prison outfits, and basically he already had the names picked out, Koke Hane and Sam Hane, and I'm not a big devil worshiper, so I really didn't want Sam Hane.
Yeah.
And at the time I was kind of a virtual garbage can for about any kind of drug. So cocaine sounded a lot better than Sam Hane, and that's what we went with.
Oh yeah.
So what's your hobbies out of the ring?
Working. It's kind of odd, when I was wrestling, that's kind of what all I did. I mean, I worked, don't get me wrong, but when work was over, we went to the gym. After the gym, we'd go to the wrestling gym, and then Toby and I and another buddy of ours, we just sit around talking about wrestling, workout. I mean, it was literally like the quintessential eat, sleep, shit wrestling. And then, I had to change my priorities. I don't know. I didn't really do anything then, watched football. And now, I don't know, I kind of turned my back on wrestling for a while. I was very bitter that I had to kind of leave it behind, and it was easier to turn my back on it than be a part of it, or watch it and not be a part of it, I guess. So I was very bitter for a few years. I don't know. Now I'm it feels like I've just kind of picked up where I left off before. Except there's more, there's more streaming services for wrestling. There's more options for wrestling now with AEW and TNA being more prominent and then being swallowed up by the bigger companies and stuff. Like, it's a great time for wrestling, and I'm glad I didn't have to turn my back on it anymore.
True.
Who would you say is your biggest rival? I gotta say Necro Butcher or Corp.
I would honestly have to say either Toby or Corp. I've wrestled either one of them. I have wrestled probably more than anybody else in my career. Toby, not so much on a bigger scale. As far as like stuff that was being recorded and stuff. But like I wrestled Toby a lot early in my career, back before Smart Mark and stuff, back before we were wrestling for so there's like a lot of stuff from Michigan and Pennsylvania and shit like that nobody ever really gets to see, but it's a lot of good shit from back late 90s and early 2000s.
Is there anything you would like to plug upcoming shows, social medias, merch sites, etc.?
Restart your phone. Huh? Restart your
Nope.
phone.
I'm starting
Hold
from
the
the
power
ground
button.
zero again. So I don't know, man. I'm back in the best shape of my life, but anybody need an old fucking deathmatch wrestler, you just let me know.
I mean, I could probably get you back. Talk to Kevin and see about getting you both back to the Deep South.
Could be arranged. I'm not just gonna, not just wrestle for anybody. I want good matches and good opponents.
Oh yeah, I understand that. What was it like sharing the ring with Jaki Fuck, he's one of my favorites, and I can't even spell his name. Numuwaza, he's
Numazawa.
one of my
Jaki
favorites.
Nakazawa.
He is a hell of a talent. I would say out of a lot of the Japanese guys that I wrestled and stuff, the language barrier was probably the greatest with him. But he's a hell of a talent, and I feel grateful to be able to share the ring with him, or being able to share the ring with him.
I don't see how you and fucking Jim Kasai's never hooked up. You and Kasai or you and Takeda would be a good one.
I'm ready for anything.
Fuck yeah, let's go. What was your trip to Japan like back in the day, and how was it wrestling in Korakuen Hall?
I'm not quite sure I was ready for Japan when I definitely came home with a much greater appreciation. Japan, it is so much more. There's no like, it's just so real. They treat it so very real in Japan. And it's not just a entertainment for them. I mean, it is like a legitimate contest. And the way they treat it is just, I don't think we'll ever have that here again. The internet and stuff that ruined it, but it's a much different culture over there than it is over here, and I wasn't prepared for it, but it was an experience. I was in the middle of wrestling, 2 or 3 times a week at the time, and was in one of the better shapes of my life. But their portion size over there it's not very conducive to big guys. I felt like Andre the Giant over there a while, having to order 2 and 3 meals at a time, because after I'd wrestle, I usually didn't eat at all the day I wrestled. So I would wait until after I wrestled, and their portions just were not big enough. So I was having to order too. But Korakuen Hall, I don't know, brother. There is I've never had that feeling other than one other time when I wrestled, and that was when I first stepped into ECW arena. Coming out of the entrance at CZW, even though it's a whole nother promotion, you're still in the same building. And it's one thing to walk into that bingo hall at any given time, but it's a whole nother thing to walk in underneath the lights and the extravaganza that, is CZW, is ECW. And same thing goes for Korakuen Hall. And the one thing that I'm really kind of sad about, and I'm glad it's sad at the same time, there was an old stairwell that was right outside the curtain for BJW, and I guess whoever else wrestled or fought at Korakuen Hall. And this stairwell was just covered in signatures and sayings and stuff. I mean, probably 10, 15 years worth of signatures from wrestlers to fighters. Whoever went through that part of Japan signed it. And I was actually very fortunate that I found Toby's name from when he got to sign like 2 or 3 years before I was there. And I got to sign my name next to his and then actually took a picture of it. But a few years ago, I'd say I believe it was right before or right after COVID, they ended up going through and repainted that stairwell. So none of those signatures, none of those names are there anymore.
Oh, fuck. That sucks.
That's fucked up.
How would you say the business has changed from when you first started till now?
How hasn't it? I mean, there has been, it is almost completely different than when I first started. One, the ratio of, or just the amount of independent promotions, these amount of promotions, period. Honestly, when I first broke in, ECW was on the way out. WCW, was bought out within a year of when I started. So for, most of my career, it was just WWE. And then you had some of the bigger independent promotions, but there just wasn't a lot of opportunity back in the day. And now everybody has a promotion. And not only was there a lot less promotions, but there was even less promotions that, had the tape trading like Smart Mark offered. Not everybody was getting their stuff filmed by Smart Mark and getting it distributed the way that, others were. But now it's like, you got IWTV, you've got Fight TV, you've got Title Match Network. You can watch wrestling anytime, anywhere. You can watch independent wrestling anytime, anywhere you want to. But unfortunately, I feel like it's also kind of the downfall too. It's so flooded that I'm honestly not trying to stick my nose in the middle of anything or take one side or the other. I'm just trying to state a simple observation and a simple opinion. But I feel like there are way too many promotions now that it's to the point where fans are not appreciating the product that is out there. And it's causing the war within fans that is happening now. Maybe that's not the right way to say it or explain it, but I feel like simply that it's just the overabundance of wrestling. Instead of fans appreciating what they do see, they try to support what they really do see, or the things that they really do like. And there's nothing wrong with that, but now it's getting to the point where not just supporting the stuff that you do like and you do appreciate, but you're shitting on the stuff that you don't like. And there's a difference between shitting on something you don't like and somebody putting out a good product that may not just be for you. And I have no problem calling out a shit promotion, wrestler, whatever kind of personality you want to say. If you are not apparent or not apparent, but if it is very apparent that you have no business being in this business, I have no problem telling you that. But at the same time, if you're doing good and you're doing you and it's just something that I don't appreciate or not something that I prefer, I have no reason to shit on you for that.
Yeah, that boils down to your own opinion.
And that's just the way I feel.
I respect that, yes, sir. So, do you have a favorite King of the Death matches that you participated in?
Probably 06.
06.
05, I had the big artery cut, whatever you want to call it. But 06, that was the year that Brain Damage and I really got to showcase who we were. And I'll never forget, back in the day, Ian used to do a question and answer session the afternoon before night 2. And at that question and answer session, he would always announce what the matchups for night 2 were going to start off being. And they went through everything, and that's when he announced that it was going to be me versus Brain Damage in the second round. And just the audible "oh" that kind of spread throughout the room. It's really kind of hard to describe. To say that it was a cheer, it's kind of wrong, but at the same time, it still kind of felt like a cheer. You know what I mean? Like when you see a good match, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yes, sir. But that's all the questions I got. If you have any or Squirrel, go ahead and drop them. You got any questions?
More questions?
I like your sweatshirt or your hoodie.
Well, thank you.
That's pretty dope. I'd like to find one like that, with like a leather face.
Timo.
Walmart.
I love me some leather.
Either Temu or Walmart.
Right on.
I need to get my new update shirt. I've got all the legends that we interviewed from last year. I need to get this year's shirt made up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, when we started, we didn't think we'd get as far as we did, and we still got a long ways to go. But you know, we've had Necro Butcher, Madman Pondo, we've had now you, Mickey Knuckles. Oh, speaking about Mickey Knuckles said, "Hey girl, hey." So, Aunt Mickey, if you're watching, you got to watch this all the way to the end, and I'll make sure. But she told me to tell you that, and I'm like, okay, I'll tell her. Go ahead, I can remember.
I can't wait to see Mickie again. It's been a long time since I've seen her. She's good people.
We've interviewed a lot of the lesser known name guys, a lot of the bigger name guys. Haven't gotten Hoodfoot. We've had fucking Decatur, Mr. Danger. Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you what, I don't give a shit about no Ribeiro jacket. Okay, that's wrong. I do give a fuck about the Ribeiro jacket, but as a fucking true fat guy, that fucking Danger steak is on point. There is not a better steak on this earth that I've had, at least. And I don't even like flat iron steaks. But I'm telling you what, that man, oh,
We're gonna have to go over there. Everybody we've interviewed has said something about Mr. Danger's steak.
dude, I'm telling you what.
If they've been over there, I'm gonna have to go over and fucking try it because I
I
like
would
steak.
fucking travel back to Japan just for a fucking danger steak. Legit.
Oh, shit. Looks like our two badasses is gonna have to go over there to Japan, squirrel.
Well, you let me know when you go because I'm tagging along.
Let's go. Let's fucking go. We got the range over there. We determined to get somewhere with the range.
Hey, you tell Kevin if he needs somebody for fucking Carnage Cup, give me a call.
All right, I'll let him know right now.